cannabis. And here we are again, ladies and gentlemen. It's another episode of Midas Letter.
Whoa.
I ate spinach for breakfast or lunch or whatever the hell that
look
was.
at those biceps. Holy smokes. I used to think biceps was plural, but that's the actual...
That's if you have two of them. That guy was so muscular he had biceps in his shit. Have you heard that one?
No.
Oh, that's a old classic. Old classic.
No.
Anyways, welcome everybody to our Thursday afternoon little
session.
Slice of madness. We're going to try to avoid poo jokes today. We're not going to talk about Afria and green growth brands today. What else aren't we going to talk? We're not going to talk about Donald Trump today. What
about Bolivia? We're going to talk about, not Bolivia, sorry, Venezuela. Big
Venezuela.
Action.
Venezuela. We could talk about Venezuela. I'm sure everybody's got some thoughts and questions about what's going on with Venezuela. That was quite like, how does that work?
Was he out of the country? Was he out of the country when this happened at Davos? No,
was Maduro out of the country?
He would never leave the country, would he?
Maduro or this guy?
No, the Maduro.
Maduro. Well, I don't know. I don't understand
Usually
how
coups happen when there's the guys.
And it's quite a volatile place. And it's not a big place, so I don't see how one guy can be one part of the country saying, you know what, I'm president, and another guy.
Well, they swore him in. They swore him in yesterday.
Well, some faction,
somebody
of some
swore
party.
him in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, normally you'd have to either incarcerate or kill the person upon whom you're going to commit what is essentially a coup d'état, where you use the army to dislodge the. We're going to use the big things like this to say legitimately elected government. Actually, did you get enough of that? This is like they dance. Rah!
I see the guy that runs Turkey, Erdogan.
Yeah.
He supports the incumbent.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what all leaders do, because they don't want things to people start thinking in their country.
You will notice now that it's official, that the despots will cling to the despots and support them, and the con artists and free market guys, which are essentially what they say called democracists, will flock to each other. So it's basically just two different brands.
I can't even say that word.
Democracists. I think I just invented it.
I think that's a good word. You know what? If it's used for a few years, they'll put it in a dictionary.
Well, all you have to do is say it 3 more times, and we've got a veritable meme, or as they call it now, meme.
Meme.
And meme. How about my meme?
That's the character in Wagner's Ring Cycle. Meme.
Anyways, we got a bit of a show today. Of course, news nurse Ricky Gerwitz is going to be here to titillate and educate, and then of course. Not of course, but Clint Sharples is here, CEO of HiTide Cannabis. We're going to get an update on their operations. We have a small featurette on cannabis consumption. And we have Dana Wheeler here from Plymouth Rock Technologies. Now, you Patriot One people are going to be somewhat annoyed at me for featuring a Patriot One analog, but I'm happy to, because Plymouth Rock is got a lot of the similarities to the Patriot One, but has a lot of differentiators too, which leads one to perceive that they could possibly both exist in the same universe without fucking things up. We'll have a quick look at market close, and then at 4:10 today, we got a real little neat thing that we just did with Victor Cantore. Is the CEO of Amex Exploration, which I don't know if you've been following this company, trades under the symbol AMX on the CSE, has gone from essentially 8 cents to 20 cents to 50 cents, which is where the range it's in today, and it's backed off just a little bit to, well, right now it's bid 46.48. Just by way of disclosure, I am bidding to accumulate some of this stock, and I have accumulated, I think I've got 170,000 shares or something right now.
Yeah.
So, but the cool thing about this talk with Victor is we're actually going to be at the site of the drill core in Quebec, talking to the geologist who's going to actually show us some close-ups of the visible gold in this core. And remember, this is a company with only 50 million shares outstanding.
Fully diluted 50 million.
And how many issued and outstanding?
45.
So, wow.
Yeah, and apparently Victor and his associate Wanda Cutler, who I've known for a long time, They've bought all their stock. They've paid for their stock. There's no,
yeah,
you know.
Well, no, and what is interesting is in the conversation, I asked the geologist if he was buying the stock, and he said yes, he was. So if you've not checked this out and you understand and like to play the gold ones, this is a quickly shaping up previously unknown deposit at an old gold deposit that produced 2.6 million ounces, I think it was, that Kelly told us. And so this is one of those stories that could be a you know, one of those quick wins. But it could also, you could also lose all your money. Oh my God, not to be trusted. Owning the stock. Stay away. Run. Call your broker. That'll
call
keep
your
you
broker.
safe.
What are you going to call him?
Call him Henry.
Mr. Broker.
Call him whatever you can call him whatever you want.
Call him Broke for short.
All right, so let's cut to Nurse News, Ricky Gerwitz.
Okay.
Thanks, James, and here are the headlines moving markets today. Aurora Cannabis announced it has closed its previously announced offering of 5.5% convertible senior notes due 2024 for gross proceeds of $345 million US. The notes were issued at par value. Aurora expects to use the net proceeds from the offering of the notes to support its Canadian international expansion initiatives, for future acquisitions, and for general corporate purposes, including working capital requirements to continue the company's accelerated growth. FlowerOne Holdings Inc. announced a new licensing agreement and brand partnership for cannabis product fulfillment in Nevada. FlowerOne is now licensed to manufacture, distribute, and sell Palms' cannabis products to all cannabis retailers in Nevada. 48 North Cannabis Corp has submitted its site evidence package to Health Canada in connection with its license application submitted in October 2018 for the company's 100-acre outdoor farm in Brant County, Ontario. 48 North expects to begin cultivating outdoor-grown organic cannabis in June 2019. Auxly Cannabis Group Inc. announced that the company has signed a definitive agreement with Curative Cannabis. Auxly will acquire 46% of the common shares of Curative in exchange for the issuance of over 5 million common shares and enter into a long-term cannabis purchase and sale agreement. It's expected to fund the construction and development costs of Curative's cannabis cultivation facility in Chatham, Kent, Ontario. The first phase of the facility is currently under construction with an anticipated completion and Health Canada evidence package submission date of March 2019. All J's Green Space LLC announced today that it entered into a commitment letter with GGB on January 22, 2019, whereby All J's agreed to purchase up to 150 million common shares of GGB at a price of $7 per common share. This is in connection with Green Growth Brand's proposed offer to purchase all of the issued and outstanding common shares of Aphria Inc. In consideration of the commitment provided under the commitment letter, GGB has agreed to pay All J's a non-refundable commitment fee of 7.5 million Canadian dollars, which is payable by GGB through the issuance of 2,504 PV shares of GGB at a price of 2,995 Canadian dollars per PV share. The Flowr Corporation has received approval from Health Canada to open additional grow rooms at its Kelowna 1 cultivation facility. Kelowna 1 is Flowr's initial cultivation facility that is under construction in the Okanagan Valley of British Columbia. The additional rooms will raise the total number of Flowr rooms Flowr is operating to 10, which is expected to more than double its current capacity. Westleaf Inc. announced that it has exercised its option to acquire 100% of Canndara Canada Inc., a cannabis retail company with over 50 prospective premium retail locations across Canada. On December 20, 2018, Westleaf purchased 21.4% of the Class A common voting shares of Canndara and secured an option to acquire the remaining 78.6% of the Canndara shares for an aggregate purchase price of $48.4 million. The purchase price is payable in common shares in the capital of Westleaf at a deemed value of $2.24 per common share. Closing is expected to occur on or about January 31, 2019. HighTide Inc. has opened 2 additional Canna Cabana retail stores in Alberta, bringing its total number of outlets to 7. The locations have met all municipal business requirements and are approved to sell smoking accessories and cannabis lifestyle products, while a temporary suspension of incremental cannabis retail licensing by Alberta Gaming, Liquor, and Cannabis remains in effect. And that's your news for today.
Interesting, actually. I said we weren't going to talk about Aphria and green growth brands, but then I noticed there was a press release out. So, and I would like to point out that the disclosures have been very much clarified in this press release among the parties in the transactions of FRIA. I'm not going to make any sort of judgment call on it, but suffice to say that in the period, the last 24 hours during which we heard some, some negative sentiment on the transaction, I've also heard lots of positive, and it's an imperfect transaction, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna adopt a we'll see attitude.
Wait and see?
Wait and see. But the fact that they put out this press release today.
What did it say?
Well, it basically just clarifies all of the relationships and also some of the commitments that puts it more in the light of a more equitable and fairly structured deal. I haven't actually looked in depth at it yet, so I'm not drawing that conclusion, but nor am I willing to draw the conclusion that it is necessarily quite as bad as has been suggested on some of our show. So,
so you're warming up to it a bit?
Well, it's just that, if a company responds like this, and after a day where they've been criticized, and they come out with such a comprehensive press release, that in response to the negative sentiment, to me that just shows you that, well, if there's misunderstanding or if there's miscommunication,
they're willing to clarify. They're
going to be moving mountains and oceans to clarify. That is a good sign to me of a very responsive company, and so let's just wait and see. That's all we're going to say about that. Ed, I don't know if you've been watching, but Canopy Growth Corp is once again flirting with the $60 number, and I'm looking at our...
let's put it up here.
Yeah.
Let's get it up.
Let's get it up.
Whoops.
Well, I think, that might take some doing. You want a candy? Do you need a candy?
You know what Ogden Nash said?
No.
Liquor is quicker. No. He said candy's dandy, but liquor's quicker.
Huh. In what was he talking about specifically?
Well, he's basically saying, you can have your bonbons, but if you really want to have a good time, go to the hard stuff.
I see. And he was talking about, advertising, marketing, promotion.
Well, he's a famous author, right? So this was one of his sort of little witticisms about,
for which he's famous.
Hey, James, hey, let's say we go down to the confectionery there and you get some candies. Yeah. And you say, you know what, Ed? Well, I'm going to pass on that. Right. Let's go down to the bar and have some alcohol.
Yeah.
Liquor's quicker. Here's the chart of weed. Let's take a look at this. This is a 3-month chart.
Yeah, look at that.
So look at here's what I've got to point out, and I think if we get through here, and I'm going to focus on this last little move, and we've come up from $34. Just a second here. Why is this?
Sorry, say that again.
My pen's not working. Oh, there, now it is. There we go. So look at this. There's going to be some resolution here in terms of a direction. Right now, we're getting in a tighter range. Whichever way this breaks is what I think important, and because the volume is obviously very good. We got this spike top here. We can't seem to get through that for some reason, but that candle today looks very, very good. I got to tell you, it looks like it's trying to go higher.
Yeah. And in other cannabis, as canopy growth soars, others are taking a bit of a shit kicking, and I'm talking specifically about Hexo is having a tough go of it, down 2.46% today, down 17 cents. Organogram is taking a little bit of a shin kicking.
I have a question for you. I have a question for you.
Oh, geez.
Do you think that, based on your observations and your experiences, that you get the sense that the volatility in the sector, and some of them had good moves. We noted Kronos, Valens, several others, Weed. But does it seem like the daily range seems to be tightening up a bit? Like Afria is up 7 cents today. Well, Aurora's up 53 cents, so that's a pretty good move.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk a bit more about that after we have. We're gonna listen to today's Did You Know?
Okay.
A man in Los Angeles got a shock when he found $170,000 worth of marijuana. It was bottled, bundled, and vacuum sealed in a vault under his backyard hot tub. Mac Reed opened up the vault for a technician to inspect and found the stash, which consisted of 60 jars, bags, and packages labeled with names like White Russian, Super Lemon Haze, and Bubble Mix. He blogged that although he fantasized about turning a profit on the haul, he knew someone would be looking for it. So he called the LAPD. Turns out they were busy and suggested he drive it in. He opted to wait them out. That's not a conversation you want to have with Highway Patrol.
And I'm joined now by Clint Sharples, CEO of HiTI Cannabis Holdings, trading on the CSE under the symbol CANN. Clint, welcome back.
Thank you. Always good to be here.
You bet. Clint, tell us what has 2019 brought for HiTI so far, and what is the immediate and longer term looking like?
Well, 2019 has brought a lot. I think the last time I was here, we were talking about, we just completed our $7.5 million raise. We just closed 2 transactions, Cannacure based down in Fort Erie near Niagara Falls, and Pure Pharma, an extraction company based out of Kelowna, British Columbia. So both of those completed, done before Christmas. Cannacure had done its first crop, planted its first crop, and took a little bit of a break over Christmas. Not much. There's a lot of stuff to do, but since then we've been moving on full cylinders, all going forward right now. It's pretty good setup we have smoking along.
Sure, right. So what's the you guys were taking delivery of a large volume of hemp to process through your system to extract CBD. Has that happened yet?
No, the hemp hasn't come in yet.
Okay.
Hemp has been processed and it's sitting in Saskatchewan, getting ready to be shipped.
Okay. What dollar volume of hemp are we talking here?
So right now we're looking, there's about 50,000 kilograms sitting in Saskatchewan, a little bit more still to come in. So
and how many kilos of hemp extract, CBD extract, will that make?
You'd be looking dollar value somewhere in the neighborhood of about $40 million, wow. 30 to 40 million, depending on how the outcome ends up, but it's our expectation.
So that's like 10 to 20 cents a share, more, 30 cents a share.
Yeah, well, you're looking in revenue here,
just as
40 million. So yeah, when you look at the potential EBITDA of the company, at full pull, and I'm talking about an annualized number, kind of by the end of this year, you'll be sitting at about 3 or 4 cents a share in EBITDA.
Wow. That's impressive for a recent entry into the cannabis space.
That's our goal right now.
Yeah. So the availability of cannabis extract feedstock in Canada is abundant. Would you categorize it as, or selectively, opportunistically available, or what is the story? Like, will you be able to buy and process crops of hemp whenever you want?
Hemp is much more readily available than cannabis is. Cannabis we can grow for our own requirements a little bit to accent what we're doing, but right now the guys are planning on processing the hemp. That's going to, what we have available and needing to be processed isn't a small amount, so it's going to take quite some time. Once we have our extraction units in, we have 2 machines going into British Columbia, 2 machines going here into Fort Erie to start. And then once they're set up and going, we still do need our processing license to allow us to start our extraction. We are hoping that soon. That is quite unfortunately out of our hands. It's 100% in within Health Canada.
Right.
But once we start that, it's a good solid 6 to 8 months worth of work to process all of this.
Okay.
By that time, we're expecting another crop to have come off, larger, more acreage that's being brought. Our Saskatchewan partners are expanding the farmer participation that they have and expanding the ability to grow more and higher API content hemp. We're excited about that. That's a big change for us for next year.
Okay. And meanwhile, back in Fort Erie, you're going to be growing high-grade THC premium flower?
Right now, we're just about to do our first harvesting. It'll come off, looks like next week, I believe. And right now, it's an agreement with CannTrust that we have. We'll be we're growing their genetics, and we'll be selling back to them. In the future, we'll be growing our own, and specifically for depending on which oil-based product we want to put out as the end product, we'll be growing the cannabis to meet that.
Very good. Is there any ambition for CannTrust, or for rather Heritage, to expand globally?
You know what? I wouldn't say no. We don't have any interest in that. We are looking. We are looking at a few things. With a limited amount of resources and capital that we have, we will be deploying that into the areas which have the best chance at making us the best return on investment in the shortest period of time. So everything that we do, every decision we're making, and we're deploying both human resources and capital, is in return on investment in the shortest period of time. Obviously, with this hemp and with our ability to have the extraction units going on, that is by far our best opportunity for ROI. That said, we have been having a lot of conversations with a few entities out of the United States and a couple of other countries, not for 2019 based business, but definitely for 2020.
Interesting. So then the focus on the growth strategy for all of 2019 will be pretty much Canadian.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, Canada, it's all about building up our own facilities. As everyone knows, coming up is going to be the green light for edibles.
Right.
What that does, in particular with our facility out in Canacure in Fort Erie, because of its sheer size and the way that it's been structured into a phase 1, 2, and 3. Phase 1 already done, purely for growing. Phase 2, we'll be working on that, getting into extraction. Phase 3, it's all about edibles and the products you can make with the oils to bring about better margins, and we'll be looking at partnering with companies who are quite knowledgeable in what they're doing on the edibles and any additional base business that comes as a result of this.
The most exciting thing in 2019 from where you sit for Heritage shareholders?
Well, you, obviously, yeah, it's got to be.
Boy, are they ever going to be disappointed. Boy, I'm going to have to get out my checkbook. No, I mean, in terms of the industry itself and the growth of the industry in Canada, like, will Heritage see products on the shelves of the provincial vendors? Do you have, a product sort of array in mind for the onset of the edibles at this point?
We do. Heritage isn't going to be aiming to the retail market in 2019. We're doing almost everything exclusively wholesale. So we will be doing wholesale-based products to other LPs. That's where we're allowed to sell. And we'll be white labeling products and developing products for others. That does not preclude us from getting into retail should we have that opportunity, and we are having discussions on that. But it's not our priority right now, nor does it need to be to get us to where we would like to be.
Okay,
but
interesting.
For exciting stuff, yeah, there's a lot coming up. We had a 60, a 120, and a 180-day plan that we put together in November.
Right.
We hit 60 bang on. In fact, we started to accomplish some of the 120 goals that we have. Everything's on schedule, looking for the 180. As soon as we hit that 180, we'll redo it all over again. That takes us to the end of the year. As long as everything's progressing nicely and is successful, it should be a good year for us.
Sure. Do you think that there's going to be any sort of price competition on CBD products as a result of the fact that, as you said, CBD is a lot more, or rather hemp is a lot more easy to acquire than THC?
Eventually. Do we see that in the next 12 to 18 months? Not at all.
There's just not enough of everything.
There's not even close to enough.
Right.
So when you look at the demand of this product and the expected demand when edibles, then the door flies wide open on that. No one seems to have, and you can't have an exact idea of how large this market's going to be. We're just learning on how large the dried flower market is, and you've seen our ability to keep up to that as suppliers. It's virtually impossible. Ontario and Alberta limiting the amount of retail stores because there's not enough product. in order to catch up to that's a lot. That's a lot of product to catch up. We are going to be supplying a lot of product, but for the conversations we're having right now, we can't supply enough product. There's no at point in our foreseeable future that we say, well, we might have a problem selling this product. Nor do I believe there's a foreseeable problem for any LP who is doing a good job in this. Our guys in extracted product do a wonderful job.
Okay.
And you'll see that demand.
And that's so you've closed that transaction now of the extraction company.
For sure. Yeah.
And tell me a bit more about those guys. Where did they start their extraction business, and how is it that they've got this great pedigree?
Good group of guys, highly educated on engineering background. They actually got into it because of personal requirements. And when back in the days with their own personal licenses that they have and they've been producing, they produced oils under food flavoring and were able to sell it legally and got into producing hemp. I've said all along, and I maintain this. In fact, I've been saying this since I understood what extraction was all about. 2 years ago, I talked about extraction like it was, let's plug in a machine, throw some cannabis in one side, and out the other side comes this nice oil. Wow, I was wrong.
Yeah.
It turns out you need to know what you're doing,
yeah.
And not a lot of people do. These guys happen to be extremely good at it. They've built a good, educated team. Some of that team is coming down here, going to be spending some time at Canacure and Fort Erie. A couple of them will be moving here.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a great setup that we've got going. Well-educated, well-trained team, ready to go. Extraction units up. We'll be ready, and we're believing it'll be the end of February when we're ready to go.
Great.
Then it's our expectation that we need a license from Health Canada to be able to do this. If we don't get it in time, we have a plan B. The plan B is not as exciting as our plan A, but it's still enough to keep us moving forward, and that's really our goal.
Okay, well, excellent. We'll be looking forward to coming down with a film crew and shooting your crops down there in Fort Erie.
For sure.
Clint, that's a great update. We'll leave it there for now and come back to you in due course. Thanks for joining me today.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, James.
Coming up now is the second part of the Did You Know? Oh, better idea. How about the feature instead?
Many Canadians have been known to enjoy a drink or two. So who spends the most on alcohol? The people in the Northwest Territories fork out an average of $1,604 per person. That's double the average Canadian. Now there's a viable legal alternative to imbibe in. Have you ever wondered which regions are buying the most pot? Ontario, BC, Quebec, the Northwest Territories? None of the above. The people of Atlantic Canada have spent far more per capita on pot since legalization. The numbers reveal sizable differences between provinces. PEI tops the list, with residents spending an average of $13.83 each on legal pot in a 6-week period. Nova Scotia came in second at $11.34. We spoke to Thomas Clark in Newfoundland to find out why.
Down here in the eastern provinces, all of our black market cannabis is brought in from British Columbia or Ontario, and a lot of people don't have a regular dealer. So I think that's why you're seeing more people go to the legal market in the eastern provinces, because it's just, supply and demand. Out in BC, there's pounds and pounds and kilos of cannabis available on the black market. In Newfoundland, it's not quite as readily available, so more people are choosing to go to the legal market.
Across the rest of the country, Albertans average $4.53, Ontarians $1.54, and Quebecers $2.53.
The business model they have down here is great because, there's 21, I believe, retail stores in Newfoundland and Labrador. And I believe in the first 6 weeks of legalization, Newfoundland itself did $6 million in cannabis sales. The country in a whole only did $40 million. So if Newfoundland and Labrador are doing $6 million out of the 40, I think maybe our retail plan is a bit better than the other provinces because there's more brick and mortar stores for people to go to here in Newfoundland. So I think we're doing it right so far.
Surprisingly, British Columbia, which is known around the world for its BC bud, didn't even crack the top 5. In fact, it's at the bottom, spending only 69 cents per capita between October 17th and November 30th of last year.
The reason it's higher than in British Columbia is because in British Columbia, there is such a variety of cannabis to be had locally that people aren't giving up their black market dealers. So the price and the quality out in British Columbia is so much better than anywhere else that you're not going to find as many people who switch over from the black market to the legal market in British Columbia.
So where are we headed with spending? Well, the CIBC predicted that by 2020, Canada's cannabis market could top $6.5 billion, which is more than the sales of hard liquor and almost as much as wine. For Midas Letter Live, I'm Liz West.
Welcome back. I'm joined now by CEO of Plymouth Rock Technologies, Dana Wheeler. Plymouth Rock trades on the Canadian Securities Exchange under the symbol PRT. Dana, welcome.
Thank you.
Dana, quick overview. What is Plymouth Rock Technologies all about?
We actually are developing fairly novel threat detection systems.
Okay. What kind of threats and in what kind of environments?
A couple different threats. Threats for military threats for people in checkpoints coming into forward operating bases, looking for suicide bombers, looking for hidden weapons underneath clothing, knives, drugs. A lot of different, we're trying to screen covertly so people really don't know that we're screening them, that type of things.
Okay, and what is the essence of the technology? What kind of technology is it?
So we're utilizing microwave and millimeter wave technology, which is frequency spectrums below visible light, fairly small wavelengths, so we can penetrate clothing and we can see objects underneath using imaging techniques.
So would this be comparable to, for example, a Patriot 1 technology that does this sort of tag and follow technology where they detect it using microwave technology?
It would be comparable to them, but there is some differences in that we have longer standoff distances. So there you have to walk through a wall, both sides of the wall are kind of scanning you in close proximity, where we're trying to do something at more of a standoff distance. So in the case of a suicide bomber walking into a crowd or walking through a portal, it's almost too late when they're that far into the crowds or into the portal at a gate at an airport, for example. Whereas we're trying to get them as they're coming out of parking lots, going into the venue, whether it be an entertainment venue, sporting events, that type of thing.
Interesting. And what stage of commercialization is your technology at currently?
Well, we have 3 different technologies we're looking at that all serve different purposes. We have a shoe scanner technology for obvious reasons to try to get throughput through the airports and detect impactions in people's shoes. Now in most airports in the world you have to take your shoes off. As you know, it slows down the lines. So we're trying to put together, we actually have some technology, we have some intellectual property that you stand on a certain area and it will image the bottom of your shoes. And basically we'll have some algorithms written that can actually tell us whether the image is a good shoe or whether there's something that's been done to the heel of the shoe.
A bad shoe.
A bad shoe. Well, it's funny you say that because we also have commercial opportunities to work with shoe manufacturers to see if their shoes are being made properly also. By taking a good shoe signature and then a bad shoe signature. And a lot of that happens visually or by cutting the shoe apart, and then they sell them as seconds usually. So.
Okay, so what is the sort of public-facing the earliest sort of venue that we're going to see this technology at work in public?
I think the shoe scanner is probably the head of the crowd because we've done a lot of academic work there. We've done all the research, so now it's more of a development program, more commercialization of making the apparatus fit into a certain area, more mechanical engineering, so to speak. So I think that's going to be the first one that we're going to see out in public, doing demonstrations with some of the big companies that already provide screening techniques. For example, the L3 Provision machine that's in airports today that you have to go through the portal, stand there for a couple seconds. We can envision our shoe scanner being in that portal where you step on the yellow feet, so your shoes are being scanned at the same time your body's being scanned.
Interesting. That's coincidental that I just went through that process on Tuesday.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And I walked through the through the scanner, and the guy said, you got to take your shoes off. Which I thought was, well, I thought this whole thing was able to, that was so I didn't have to.
No, actually, we just talked to some folks that they didn't realize that either. That type of scanner basically puts a cylinder around your body, but it's not looking up at your shoes. Even the tops of your shoes, very difficult to make a detection there.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, then how much money have you guys raised so far? How much are you going to need before you get to profitability?
We've raised about $3 million to date, and we feel that we're going to need another $5 to $8 million before we can actually start producing these in some low quantity volumes, what we'll call low rate initial production.
Sure.
And that's going to take, that'll be into 2020.
Okay, great. Is this something that the larger defense contractors would have an interest in taking over?
Absolutely. Okay. That's one of our objectives.
Right.
I've had other companies that we've done similar types of security products where we've worked directly with the military for protecting forward operating bases, as I mentioned before, at standoff distances, checkpoints, for special operations, mobile special operations where they set up security checkpoints in different areas. So we see them adopting it fairly quickly because the technology is fairly novel and it's working very well.
Do you have a sense of how much it's going to cost per detection location for a buyer of the system?
I kind of have an idea of where it's going to be, where it has to be. We have to get the whole system, through its user interface and everything, and well below $50,000.
Well below 50,000.
Yep. Okay.
Now, is this something that is portable, or is it a fixed stationary item?
It can be both. It can be portable. And one of our technologies, we're actually mounting a millimeter wave imaging system that will scan people on a drone.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to fly the drone above unstructured crowds and make detections with video cues on who has, for example, suicide bombs or any weapons on their body.
Well, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's great, Dana. Very interesting technology, and certainly we've seen those have success in the past in the marketplace. So we'll continue to follow the story. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Oh, excellent. Thank you very much.
Very hard to imagine that Patriot One could have an analogous technology that could possibly be on the same level. I mean, that was amazing.
So did you find that disturbing?
That's not what we were talking about, James.
That was.
Did you still own Patriot One?
No, I still own Patriot One, but that was the.
Why don't you? Well, maybe that's a signal that you should maybe sell some and put it into this thing.
No.
Well, look at that makes me think there's no barriers to entry.
Huh. Well, there's barriers to entry. This is the guy who actually developed the Myrtle system.
Oh. Are we on here?
Yeah.
We're back on?
Myrtle system. Hey, Ed, do you know how many cows it takes to mow the lawn?
One, if it's got a big enough shitter.
What is with your obsession with
cow
cows
shit?
And their...
So we were playing baseball when I was a Ute.
A Ute?
A Ute.
When were you a Ute?
Oh, 60 years ago.
You say that with like
it was a cow pasture, and there's these cow chips all over the place. Some
cow chips.
Yeah.
Well, like cow eats potato chips?
No. We're talking about
cow patties.
Turds.
Cow pie.
Turds. Cow pie.
Cow pie.
So a lady was up to one of the girls we were playing there, in the baseball field, in the cow shit field. The bat ended up in one of these freshly made cow pies. Oh. And she says, "Can you hand me the bat?" So I just made sure there's lots of shit on it, and I handed her the bat. Oh. I said, "Here you go." So she grabbed. She started chasing me.
With the bat, I'd be chasing with the bat.
But she couldn't catch me.
Why? Because you were fleet of foot?
I was fleet of foot. I was pretty fast.
How fleet?
Fleety.
Like super fleet or like moderately fleet? Did you clock yourself?
Yeah, I was. I could. You know what the fastest land? I better not say this.
Yeah. What are you making of the action on Tilray lately?
Well, I'll tell you. I think
$75.
Yeah, and it got down to 70 yesterday. Yeah. I think it's slowly grinding lower.
Yeah.
That's my take on that. For a number of reasons. There's only going to be more paper that's becoming free trading as time goes on, and the bubble happened. There was an exponential move.
Yeah. Okay. You know what, Ed? We haven't done a proper chart analysis in almost 15 minutes, and there's a gentleman here named Ivan Black who wants to know what you think of the Medmen chart. Hello, Ivan, and thank you for your question.
Yeah. Okay. MMEN. What exchange, please?
CNX.
And the magic is amazing. The magic is amazing. Okay, is that it? There's a 1 year, well, yeah, there we go.
That's the 1 year chart.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna go down to 6 months. Well, I'll stick with this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, if so, does that not look to you like the bloom has come off the rose and the petals have fallen to the ground, and autumn is in the air and winter is coming?
And it seems to be, yeah, you say, geez, it's getting colder here. And yet there's a stiff breeze. Stiff breeze.
And
yeah, I'll tell you what I don't like. I don't like the fact that this area in here corresponds to where it sort of started trading, and then you had your
glory hole.
Now,
why is that funny?
Now, what does that look like to you? That looks like
a couple of musical notes that have fallen into each other.
Ah.
Oh, okay. I thought it looked like a couple of braided testicles.
Yeah, I don't like that chart. I don't like the chart. I'm not commenting about the company. I'm talking about the chart. So, people, I'm not trying to be biased here. I'm trying to be as objective as possible. I don't like that chart. On the other hand,
any?
If do I own any of this?
Yeah.
Negatory. And
why don't you own any?
Well, because I look at that chart and say no, unless it started to move in here. Yeah. But boy, there's I bet you the volume in this area in here, this big area here. I'm going to clear this again. But if you look at the volume, if you could track the volume just in this period here, I bet you there's a lot of people now underwater. And when there's a lot of people underwater, you run the risk of it becoming a busted stock. And a busted stock is very difficult to resurrect.
Yeah.
Enough said about that.
So do you think that MedMen is a busted stock at this point?
I wouldn't say it's busted yet, but if it breaks this, because there's clearly support here, support here.
So what's that price level that support is at, the lower support? It's below $4, isn't it? It's like $3.50?
It's about $3.50, $3.60, yeah.
Okay.
And it hit it here. There was a failed breakdown there, which means it was ready to go up, and it did.
Yeah.
But then here we are. The wick, sorry, the tail of this candle got below it, but it quickly went back over it. It held here. It may. If some fundamentals improve, and if you get this thing getting over this here, yeah, and then I would say.
Lights out. Well,
no, 3 strikes.
Ivan Black thought you would come to the conclusion that it's consolidated and moving up.
It's consolidating, but hasn't started moving yet.
Right.
And so I'd say, why buy it now? Why don't you wait?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well.
Maybe probably
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. How many shares out on MedMen?
I have to go to my phone for that one.
You're going to have to consult the Oracle?
I'm going to have to go to, and here it is, I'm going to say 416, 417. I say, according to this, there's 195 million. So capped, not at a crazy number considering some of the other valuations, 378 million. But that's come down quite a bit. I mean, that got up to...
Well, it was up to like $7 at one point, wasn't it? Where did it go?
980.
980. Oh, could you imagine if you bought the stock at 980? When was that?
That was right here. Right here.
What time? When was that? What was the date, though? October?
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good, Ed. Yep, you certainly did that right. That was in October. Oh, well, how about October 17th, 18th? What
October 17th.
Right around legalization. Now, they're big in the U.S., correct?
Big. I think they're in, they're in a bunch of states with retail outlets. They're not, as far as I know, vertically integrated. But again, I stopped following MedMen. I'm kind of like...
You soured on it?
Well, you know what I find? I find that the American segment of the cannabis industry is always convinced, and I'm going to say convinced erroneously, that the U.S. market is the most important market in the world, and it's the biggest market in the world. it's certainly the most fragmented market in the world, and you know, I think that the fragmentation is actually a complication for any company that has a global ambition. And so while Americans always like to, you know, they're attracted to American stories, which these US MSOs are, the reality is that the big multi-country operators are, you know, exposing themselves to a bigger opportunity because while, for example, California, before the legislation took effect on January 1st, 2018, or sorry, was it July 2018, there were 50,000 growers in California. 50,000. And so when they rolled in the new legislation...
How many growers in Canada for comparative purposes?
Well, how many... Well, okay, so first of all, we never had any framework where you could grow cannabis unless you were one of the... so there's only, to this date, there's 180 some odd Health Canada licensed growers. So, you know, 50,000 growers, and they assumed that no more than 10,000 of them would be able to get permitted in time for legislation. So you got basically a situation where the former supply of cannabis in a state with a population of 42 million, 80% of it was wiped off the map, and 20% of it had never grown weed before.
80% was wiped on the map because of
legislation, arguably.
Oh.
But they didn't. They didn't leave. They didn't just lie down and leave. They kept growing and selling. And to this day, it's very difficult to tell what proportion of the cannabis in the system in California actually originates with licensed producers and is not actually diverted from the supply, the black market supply. So that's my point, is that, you know, I'm far more comfortable investing for the long term in Canadian multi-country operators than I am in US multi-state operators, despite the opinions of certain investment bank related analysts who tend to favor the US MSO, but they're also financing them.
I want to make a further point to the gentleman that asked about MedMen. I think right now it's range bound. I think it may trade between sort of mid to high 3s to mid to high 4s. So you can trade it, I think, and if it gets through 460, 470, then maybe you got something cooking.
That's the theory, and you're sticking to it.
It's ethereal.
Ethereal. All right, let's take a quick look now at our indices and see what that.
Yeah, let's see what.
See what we can glean from that little tidbit of awesomeness. So let's see the Canadian Cannabis Index, which is all the large caps. You know, I just have a feeling we're going to need a chart for that. And so there's my chart. Now, how do I make this full screen? That would be interesting. No, I don't want to change its color. Can I grab the corner? Yeah, I can bring it up here. And I can bring it, oh, yeah, I can bring it over there. Oh, but there's no chart. Oh, is that because it's in too much of a tight thing? Yes. You know what? Instead of that, let's look at the chart of this company I want to talk about a bit, Boulevard, or BLVD. Oh, now what's going on? There's no chart there.
BLVD, do you want me to get the chart up?
Please. My system is malfunctioning.
Yeah, that's why we have two computers, to have twice the computing power.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So just to offset and negate such embarrassing
BLVD
moments.
on the CNX.
Yes, BLVD. So again, this company is...
okay, wow, that's looking interesting here.
Isn't it?
Yeah, there's a 1 year chart. I like looking at a longer term chart because it tells you, you know, it came down, no, that's not a 1 year chart anymore.
What happened?
Oh, what happened?
You're losing control of your charting ability.
I'm losing control. And there we go. So we had a bottom here, and then looked like something was really wrong, breakdown there, but then right back through, so back above support, and there's a downward trend there, and it broke through that. So it's clearly in an upward trend. What do you say? There's a couple 100 million shares?
There's 227 million right now.
And so small market cap. some key changes in terms of personnel.
The management has completely turned over, and they've pivoted away from being, so it's an addiction treatment business.
But they're
used to have
focusing on
inpatient and outpatient, so they were treating patients with a combination of, methadone and other
were they
substances.
making house visits?
Well, they did have outpatient, but now they're planning to, as far as I know, jettison the unprofitable business and launch a treatment program based on cannabinoids. That's the sense I get.
Right. Well, and now didn't you say that there was some insider buying?
Well, actually, the CEO, Jacob Gamble, he just bought 1 million shares.
Is he a cautious guy, Jacob Gamble?
Is he a what?
Cautious guy.
Cautious guy?
Well, he's Gamble.
Well, actually, you know how some people, like Bernard Madoff, are aptly named, and other people are the antithesis of their name?
Yes.
He's more of the antithesis. This is,
right. Yeah.
For him to be taking a gamble on this stock.
He's not taking a gamble.
Well,
because he's in control.
Exactly. So he's
putting his money where his mouth is.
Well, he's demonstrating conviction, certainly by investing in the stock, but he's also articulated clearly his goal is to re-energize, recapitalize, and reorient the company towards profitability.
You know, one of the you talk to people that are consistently winners. They'll say that, they follow the insider buying and selling, and if they start to see selling, they're out.
Yeah.
And just about for any reason. Now I can understand, like, if you own so much of the stock, you'd want to, like Bezos or Bill Gates, they're selling all the time.
Right.
But that's impressive. He's buying this stock, and did you note how many he bought?
1 million shares. Well, he's bought now 2 million shares in the last 3-4 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah. So yeah, that's another one that I'm again. I've accumulated a couple million shares of that. So obviously conflicted and not to be trusted in any matter to do with this. However,
yeah, you're just saying what you've done. You're not saying.
I'm not telling you what to do.
You're not telling me what to do.
I'm telling you what I do and why I do it.
Yeah.
That's the way it is around here. Some things will never change.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. Oh boy, I can't sing today worth shite.
You know what's having a big move today?
What's that?
A company called BrainGrid.
BrainGrid. We had Michael Kadenoff here. If subscribers, if viewers want to look back in time to that interview, just Google Michael or just Google Midas Letter. YouTube search Midas Letter and BrainGrid. And interesting story. Well, I don't own it. They're not a client, so we can be trusted.
That stock was trading at 25 cents when it came out and went all the way down to a nickel.
Yeah.
And today it hit 13.
Really?
Yes, sir.
And why is that?
I don't know why. Somebody
put out a press release?
A friend of mine from Vancouver pointed it out.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Ames Pinero.
Ames Pinero?
Yeah. Yeah, a friend of mine.
Oh, I've never met him.
Yeah.
Neat name.
Yeah. He used to drive a red Fiero.
No.
Here comes Ames Pinero driving his red Fiero. I thought it was, a little catchy phrase.
Coincidental.
He's a good friend. He's a real person.
Mm-hmm.
I want to put the market's closed yet? No, 4 minutes.
No, 4 minutes.
I want to have the chart up when we're going to go into that interview with. Victor, but I want to put the chart up.
Put up the chart now. Let's talk about that now because we got about 10 minutes till we come to that interview.
Okay. So this is a stock that's really been lit up here. That's on the CA.
Yeah. So that's the chart of the stock that we're going to be talking about shortly here with Victor now. So
this is a 1 year chart here, folks. But let's put up a 6 month. Because November, something started to happen. You start to see some
there we go. A little too sensitive.
Okay, so let's just put this up. And I'm an owner of this stock, and I bought some a bit higher, and it's backing off today. But it had such a spectacular move. But look. you start to see the candles start to, you're starting to see some range here, and then it, you know, something happened here. They did a funding 8 cents.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, only 45 million shares.
Right.
So at 8 cents, it's capped at 3.5 million, and they're in the right area. And the gentleman that's the main geologist, he's also the chairman. He's been looking for this gold for quite a while, and they've announced some spectacular bonanza grades. There's also low grades, but look, and then announcements, and then look at this.
Yeah.
This is very powerful. But you know, we finally got a pretty good red candle today, so good correction. I think it's traded about 1,000,003, 1,000,004. I'm just going to change. No, I'm not going to change anything. No, sorry. Clear it. Clear.
Clear. Boom.
So look, it did open higher today. Now that's a bad candle, although I will say this channel is intact. Oh, did it again. You think I'd ever learn?
Did you, so Aurora Cannabis announced that they closed their convertible debt offering. They raised total of $345 million.
In U.S. funds?
And Canadian, U.S. funds, yes, that's right.
Wow.
It's interest rate of 5.5%. The debt is due in 2024. The conversion rate is basically at $7.23 per share, but Aurora has the option to pay back the debt in cash with a 10% premium, so that dilution is not necessarily a given at this point.
It's a much better company for having raised the money, I think. Well, I would say.
I think that, you know, to raise debt capital progressively as you need it, as opposed to doing a giant equity sale like a Constellation purchase of Canopy. You know, if Canopy's $150 and the Constellation deal ends up, you know, owning most of it, one might argue that they sold themselves too cheaply down here at $35, $38.
It's a lot of money, though. 345 million US is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so, you know,
we could do a lot with that, couldn't we, Ed?
Yeah. We could. You know what we could do with that kind of money?
Yes, I do.
Probably lend a bunch of money to Aurora.
We could go farming. Well, then we get to chase them cows around.
Chase them cows. Yeehaw!
Yee-hoo!
Hence the name Cowboy.
Look what time it is, Ed.
Yeah, Cowboy.
Let me see your bell closing move there again, please. It looks more like, you know,
hello,
degenerative nerve disease movement, personally. What? I know, politically incorrect.
I know.
Make
you know
no
what?
bones about it.
Look at.
We are incapable of filtering our thoughts and our speech. So yes, we make the odd insensitive and stupid remark, but let's just say that that's our charm. We're essentially
what is
guileless.
That? There's an expression: 3 times the charm, right?
Three times the charm.
I don't know. You ever heard that?
That sounds like a cheap straight man's pickup line. You've got 3 times the charm. No, that would be a gay man's pickup line because women generally aren't charming. That's right. It's 1, 2, 3 times the lady.
No, but there's something about 3 times the charm. No?
No.
Come on.
Now, Google it. I think you got a case of mixed metaphors, Ed.
Okay, we're gonna mixed
metaphors. You know, when somebody says that guy's, you know, rich as Hades, what they actually mean is rich as Rockefeller, and you know, mixing the. Never mind. You know where I'm going with this.
I don't know where you're going with this. You know what? I don't think 3 times the charm. Come on, people, help me out. What is it? 3rd times the charm.
3rd times the charm. Oh, yeah. Now, in reference to try again.
Okay, 3rd times the charm.
Yeah.
I said 3 times.
Yeah.
And you know, nobody could connect it, right?
So
maybe
that's
they thought
like
I was talking about trees. 3 times. Tree. What? What?
3 times a lady.
3 times the charm.
I love you. Anyway.
voice
let's check out some charts, Ed.
Okay, let's
see who did what today. Like, so who's the big winner? Where? That's what I want to know.
Just Ed talk? You want me to talk? Why do you want me to talk? Oh, because you. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I think your mic needs new batteries. So I'm going to do a little talking here. Finally, I get the floor.
I don't think
I didn't say
batteries, Ed. What do you need new batteries for?
Oh, geez, I got serious issues.
What? Yeah.
Sure.
Like no batteries.
Oh, I got problems. You want to hear about them?
Nope. I got my own problems.
I want to put up a chart of the S&P. I think we got to watch the S&P. Because
that's actually, let's look at that. I've seen numerous comments today that said that that the rally in Canopy Growth Corp was a little bit undermined by the S&P action, which was what, net negative over the day?
Interesting. Can we get the chart? I just have to think it and it happens.
Wow, I noticed that you half said it. Look at MedMen's up 21 cents. Oh my gosh, I think that's what Ivan Black was referring to, the fact that it tacked on 21 cents in value today.
So this is the S&P chart, 500 companies, big companies in the U.S.
Look at that, steep, precipitous, calamitous.
Look at this.
Oh.
So that trend line, you know, I'm gonna go out on a limb here.
Uh-oh, 2 red candles in a row.
It's there, but it's a little green candle today. But it seems to be, you know, this upward trend is now moving a little bit sideways. Still very premature. I'm not going to go out and say that a correction's imminent, but back in here when we had these runs,
yes,
it changed very quickly.
Yes.
This time it's holding, but it's holding.
So that's a very beautiful geometric painting, Ed, but what does it mean?
Well,
does it mean that the S&P is looking like it's going to, like, so we've got, of course, the camp that we'll say is led by David Rosenberg, which is like, there's not a recession coming, we're already in one, versus the camp of Martin just met?
We
recently met?
We met.
Who is in the...
we met again.
We met again. And who says that the economy is in basically a state of a technical new bull market.
They're booming in the U.S. I want to say, just what does this S&P chart mean?
Yeah.
That was the first correction on the way down after a big drop down.
Yeah.
This is a support.
Yeah.
This was a little lower than here. I'm going to say this over and over again. And then we broke down here.
You broke down.
And I want to say, a big guy down at Raymond James who writes, and he's all over the place. His name is his last name is S-A-U-T. He said that this run here was one of the biggest, most vicious.
Which runs? Hold on, we can't see the chart here. There we go. Which run?
This run here, from the reaction low to here is like almost as powerful as that drop.
Yeah.
And you know, when you get these big moves, they got to get digested, and I think we're starting to see that. You know,
so you think it's a good day to go short the major cannabis companies tomorrow?
I think we're getting.
Come on, Ed. Go out on the limb.
I think we're getting close.
I think we're getting close
to, like, you know, I mean, how much higher can CRON go? I know there's a.
Well, Cronos, if you were wanting to match the valuation of Cronos to the valuation of Canopy based on the investment that's gone into it, Cronos received $2.6 billion in investment from the Altria guys, and yet their market cap is only now, I guess, $3.8 billion, whereas Canopy received $5 billion from the Constellation grant transaction, and their valuation is currently $20 billion.
Right.
So on that basis, you would expect the valuation of Cronos to at least approach half that of Canopy based on capital in. And so that puts Cronos at $10 billion, and it's only at 3.68.
Yeah.
Who do we appreciate? Wappa, White Widow. We're going to be smoking some Cove brand cannabis this weekend, which we got from the Ontario Cannabis Store.
Can I smoke some today?
Actually, I won't be smoking any because you know why? I'm going to the United States this weekend.
Oh, you want to stay clear?
Well, you're not going to bringing cannabis to the United States is like, you know, bringing milk to a dairy cow.
There's that cow again.
There's that cow metaphor.
You know what? You feed that cow lots of corn, it's fleet of foot. You know, it starts pooping out the corn, and here she goes. There's an unknown fact that some of these cattle can reach speeds of 70, 80 miles an hour.
What?
Oh yeah.
Flying cows.
Oh, they're fast.
Really?
Fast cows.
Especially, so they're faster after they've been eating corn.
Yeah.
Rather than eating
corn
grain
gives
or
them
hay?
that propulsion from the flatulence.
Oh, I see.
And they just
so
sit there
and turbocharged cow.
Turbocharged cow. Huh. Turboprop.
Turboprop. So what?
Turbo poop. Turbo poop.
Turbo poop. So you put a prop up there as well. You know, I gotta say that I find our predilection towards jokes involving scat somewhat disturbing.
I knew you were going to say that.
How did you know?
Well, I'm getting to know you.
Well, do you know that scat and scram are based on more or less the two things?
Scram?
Yeah, scram. Get out of here.
Scat. Beat it.
Hit the road.
Scat.
Scoot. Shoo.
There's your coat. There's your hat. What's your hurry?
As my mother used to say when she was wanting to swear but wouldn't, oh, sugar.
Oh, what a sweet lady.
And well, my brother and I, when we were young, we thought that was still swearing, and we'd say, Mommy, swear! And she'd be like, that's not swearing. If I wanted to swear, I would have said shit. Yeah. Anyways, she didn't find that amusing. So a bunch of press releases out today on a lot of the majors.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to read them all, but look at, I want to draw your attention to Charlotte's Web. 1836, new all-time high for that stock.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Here, let's take a look. Let's take a look, ladies and gentlemen.
I know. You know, I've been watching it bounce between $12 and $17 for the last quarter of 2008. So I decided to pull the trigger at the first quarter of 2019, and I pulled the trigger too soon. I got out at 17 bucks, thinking that I would be able to buy it back at 12. Guess
and
what?
What's the symbol? What's the exchange on this one? Is it US?
CNX. CNX. Symbol is CWEB. CWEB.
No, it's not a new high.
What?
No, not according to this.
Where's the 52-week high on this?
Your battery's running low. Oh, now my battery's running low.
Boy, oh boy, Ed.
How come James gets batteries and I don't get some?
Well, I try to keep my computer charged throughout the day multiple times for every day charging station.
Okay, so let's just...
You know what? I want to switch the conversation to gold. And we're going to now visit with Victor Cantore. Hey, I'm back here now with Victor Cantore, CEO of Amex Exploration, trading on the TSX venture under the symbol AMX. Victor, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here. It's really exciting.
It has been a long time that we have been following you and each other. We've been following each other through the mining market. And now you've got yourself involved with a company called Amex Exploration. Why don't you give us a thumbnail overview of what the asset is, or the target is, and how it's going?
Absolutely. So I got involved with Amex sometime in late 2016. We financed the company in early 2017. We went through a series of financings, raised them about $3.5 million. And this target, Jacques Trottier, our PhD, he was also the founder. He was actually found the Sullivan mine in Peru.
That's funny. That's another mine that I followed quite extensively over the years.
I called it Sullivan as the company. The Shawindo mine in Peru.
Who ended up buying that? It was another company that ended up buying that, and didn't they put it into production?
Yeah, it's in production. So Jacques Trottier, our executive chairman, which was also the past CEO of the company, he actually bought that for $10,000, went there, picked it all up, and he turned it into the Shawindo mine, and that's what he's trying to do now. And that's what we're trying to do right now with Amex. We had an interesting. So the asset is in Normital. It's north of Val-d'Or. There was a Normital mine that was mined for many years. It's been shut down since. They pretty much ran out of ore. We're right beside there, and usually the best place to go find gold is wherever there was a gold mine.
Sure.
We finally, so there's 3 different zones. So this is a brand new discovery, even though they've been in that area for over 20 years. There's the old Perron zone. There's the polymetallic zone where Agnico Eagle had an option. They dropped it sometime last year. And then there's the Eastern Gold Zone where we started exploring this year, and we had some of these bonanza grades.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So now, what amount of drilling has been done, and what are some examples of the best intercepts?
Yep. So last February, when we hit an intersection, it was around the 200. If I talk vertical depth, was around 290 meters. They intersected about 12.6 grams over 4.6 meters. Jacques was really excited about that, and then we waited till in Quebec we always get back 40. If you're using hard dollars, you end up getting 40% of your exploration expenditures back to you. Mm-hmm. So we were getting close to $500,000 coming back to us. So we waited till October to actually start doing the drilling program. So we got prepared, did a 3D modeling, used the Ore Vision, so really prepared our targets properly. So in December, we ended up hitting a really nice zone. So that zone was 88 meters above the other zone that was done around 290 meters. And we ended up intersecting 269 grams per ton over 1.35 meters. That's the high-grade zone. And then just beside it, another 70, 80 meters beside it, we intersect another zone that's over 100 meters at 0.7. So when you start putting all this together, you almost start building out like the detour model, where you've got the high grade and low grade. What really put this on the map, we ended up drilling 25 meters above that, now taking us to a vertical depth of about 175 meters approximately, and we really hit a big bonanza grade where the one that we reported at 393 grams per ton over 1.7 meters.
So excuse me, 393 grams in ounces is around 13.
That's like maybe
13. Yeah, yes. 13 ounces.
Yeah, around there, 12, 13, 15 ounces.
At $1,200 an ounce, so that's like $16,000 a ton rock.
Rock, absolutely.
Sure. Okay, so what is the geological setting? What is the strike length anticipated to be, and what's the actual, is it terminated at depth yet, or in any direction?
At depth, we followed for at least 375 meters, all the way down to depth. We followed it over 300 meters. We're following it over 300 meters in strike length up to now. It's orogenic. It's orogenic gold. Just about every single hole there was visible gold. It's really quite impressive. And above that, we reported in the last press release also. It's the paragraph that starts right under the table. So we're following up this vein. We're following up this quartz vein. So we reported that we actually intersected also that quartz vein. The results are going to be pending, but it's quite impressive. Now you can follow it for almost 150 meters from the first one all the way up. So you've got 150 meters right up to the 140 meter strike length. Again, we don't have the results on those, but it's quite impressive.
Sure. Okay. So there are as of right now, are there any is there any drill core at the lab where there might be results coming soon?
Absolutely. There's our hole 20. So we reported yesterday hole 22. Hole 23 is leaving to the lab. That should be coming back, and we should be shortly. We have to confirm it with the geologist. There's another hole 24. We should be intersecting that area. So when I was talking to you about that hole around 290 and the 269 grams per ton, so in between there's 88 meters. Mm-hmm. So we're putting a hole. So our hole 24 is going to be right in between there to confirm it. Because when you look at our press release, we have in figure 3 we show the strike, or we show the image of gold right through, but we cut it off because 88 meters is quite a distance. You need to put a hole through that. So we're hoping to be able to announce that, not results, but saying that if we're lucky that we actually hit that area, so we can say that we hit the quartz vein, so many meters, and pending results.
What's the distance on the surface between drill collars for those holes?
It's all coming in because we're taking it vertically. It's most of the holes are from the same pad, and we could have Kelly confirm it's from the same drill pad. They're just going at it at different angles.
Sure. Now you've got geologist Kelly Malcolm is on the line from Skype from the project, live from a mining site. Unbelievable. Yes, it's true. Not a mining site yet. More of an explanation site. Kelly, thank you for joining us. Oh, sound.
Right now?
There you go.
Hello?
Hey, there we go. So, Kelly, what can you tell us about this deposit from a geological perspective?
It looks very simple, which is a good thing when you're talking about geology and rocks. It's a sheet-like orogenic type system. Basically, the Eastern Gold Zone that we're targeting has two components to it. One of them is the high-grade zone, which is obviously the numbers that came out 2 days ago, the 394 grams over 1.7 meters. Inclusive in that intercept is 677 grams over half a meter. And I actually have that core in front of me, and I'm happy to show it to you shortly. In addition to that system, there's also a low-grade portion of the system. We've hit up to about 100 meters of around 0.6 mineralization. Within that, several intercepts that are quite attractive that you can see through our previous press releases.
Kelly, are you buying the stock?
It's a very... I am buying the stock, yes.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. You can go now. No, just kidding. Okay, why don't you show us some of the images of that core so we can have a look?
Sure, happy to do so. So this is the hole 22 intercept. I apologize, it's over Skype, but it's difficult to see. So I've put the grades that we've hit on this intersection. So here you can see 236 grams over half a meter. Over here, 677 over 0.5 as well. And then in this portion, 307.3 over 0.65.
Wow.
And the reason that we split this sample into 3 different samples was, number one, we wanted to prove to the market that we're not smearing anything within this vein, and that there is gold distributed throughout the vein proper. I'm going to try to zoom in and show you some of the visible... I'm not sure if you can see any of that, but there is visible gold scattered essentially throughout this intercept. It's quite difficult to see, but you could probably see some shimmers on that vein itself.
Yep, we can see some nice
as well.
There.
We're seeing very coarse gold mineralization.
Wow.
Not coming through all that well in person, but we're going to be updating the Amex website with some of these visible gold photos, and they are very promising.
Fantastic. So, what sort of geological control is stratigraphically? Bleh. I haven't said that word in so long, I forgot how.
So it's hosted within a rhyolite package, an extensive volcanic system. And then actually you can probably see on my photos, sorry for this jump around, but there's a darker rock below the vein, which comes in right around here. And that's a gabbroic dike that seems to have a control on the mineralization. And when we're intersecting that dike, we end up with both wider and higher grade mineralization, as evident with the past press release. So it's seeming to be very consistent. We've intersected that gabbro and this vein system now in a number of holes, and as Victor mentioned, visible gold associated with all the intercepts in this zone.
And so, in your opinion, what are sort of the linear dimensions of the strike?
Difficult to say on the strike. Like Victor's mentioned, the Eastern Gold Zone proper has been tested across 300 meters. This high-grade shoot, we haven't yet determined the dimensions of it. I can, however, mention that the Normatal mine, which is just about 5 kilometers to the southwest of us, was mined to a depth of 2.5 kilometers, indicative that this potential system would have a very substantial depth component to it as well.
Interesting. Kelly, thank you very much for joining us now.
Thanks for having me.
Victor, sounds like a just a absolutely exciting project. We don't see these come across our radar that often anymore, do we?
Yeah.
So now tell me how much money you've got in the bank and how much of the drilling you've got planned for 2019 that's already paid for, and when do you have to go back to the market?
Well, so we raised a little bit of money in early December. We raised a little over $500,000. So that's the money that will pay the entire program that we announced. And drilling costs up there, like our last budget, we review our budgets we review our budgets with actual expenditures. We do this quite often to make sure that we still stay in line. So all inclusive, that includes assays, every expense associated. We were looking just a tad over $160. $160 a meter, and that's somewhere where it's not remote. We don't need the helicopter support. We get in a pickup. We can get in a pickup and drive right to the drill pad.
Sure. Well, there's all kinds of mining infrastructure in that area.
That's right.
Okay, great. Well, Victor, that's an excellent introduction. I'm actually just bought some stock before we did this interview, and I'm an investor in the company by way of disclosure. So we're going to follow the story, and we'll probably send a camera crew up to visit you when you've got some good action going on up there. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Victor.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Amazing, eh, Ed?
Well, you know, lightning does strike once in a while. This chute that I think they referred to, I saw some pictures with Wanda Cutler, and you know it goes down, I guess 300, but they pointed out 5 kilometers away, one went down for 2.5 kilometers.
Really?
Yeah, and it's high grade. They've now pulled a couple of monster bonanza.
Monster bonanza. Yeah, you know, so you made an interesting comment that somebody rather intimate with the company said that they were nervous buying it at a much cheaper place, and now they feel confident that at this price it's a way better deal. That's an interesting comment to me from somebody who's, you know, on the inside of the action, because that tells you that they have a high level of confidence that this is going to end up being a valuable mining deposit. And because of their location, if you know, they start talking, like they can get to 2 million ounces, and it's going to take time. It'll be in the worst category, inferred, because that's the cheapest category to prove up, right? Right. He said that's when the majors will come knocking. Really?
So yeah, I mean, look, it's still early days. It's had a spectacular rise, but the market cap's only 25 million. And if they had, if they had 2 million ounces and you gave them $60 or $70 an ounce, that's 100. It's you know, much higher from here, much higher. Well, we'll see. I don't want to.
Okay, so let's say I just want, just in the context of people who might not have ever invested in mining before, what is the bluest sky potential for this stock?
These aren't my numbers.
Okay.
Okay. You know, there's a company I call Great Bear, GBR.
Yeah.
And that's the company that you know, and I guess I can say this. I said, give me a comparable, Victor, and Victor says, well, GBR. You know, same kinds of grades, and they're capped at.
Okay, so pull up a chart of GBR and show us the point on their timeline that matches perfectly the point where Amex is on its timeline. Yeah. That would be a fun exercise for people who don't know mining.
You know what I want to do is I want to get my battery working here, but I can't because.
Oh, you've run out of booze.
Okay, I've run out of just a second.
Running out of drinks.
Just a cotton picking minute.
All right, so I'm gonna. Damn it! I was hoping to slouch there. Okay, so looking at, I hope you can see my NDI over here, because while Ed fixed that up, I'm looking at the small cap chart here. I'm going to look at, so that's up 0.2% on the day. I'm going to see, let's see, who finished best. Green Thumb Industries is the largest market cap. So the best performance of the day was Cannabis Technologies, Blow, added 14 cents or 8.19%. Close at $1.85. Blow is the breathalyzer that is going to be blown out of the water potentially by our friends at Fluorotech. Aleafia Health added 12 cents to $1.75. Emblem Corp added 7 cents. Those are the top three of winners in the small cap space. Biggest losers by percentage. Number one is Liberty Health, shed a mere 4.17% or only 4 cents. Vivo Cannabis lost 3 cents, shed 3.49 cents. Radiant Technologies down 2 cents to 2.3, so not really any big movement. Again, total performance of the Midas Letter Small Cap Index was only 0.2% today. So what does that tell you? It was a quiet day in small cap world. Now, if we go to large cap world over here, we're going to start to see bigger moves, bigger performance, but especially that would have been led by the Green Organic Dutchman, added 44 cents today, up 15% practically, to close at $3.49. And not really sure why that one's moving. Aurora Cannabis is $8.84, up 7.02%, up 58 cents. I think that's because people are starting to realize that the convertible note recently raised means they have $350 million in the bank. It's not due till 2024, and it can convert only at Aurora's option as long as they can pay back the $345 million with a 10% premium. So not as dilutive as everyone thought at the outset, as we've been saying all along. Another big performer today on the large caps, Kronos Group, added another 6.5% or $1.29 to close at $20.99. And again, if I was a betting man, I would say that's because if we're going to examine the market cap relative to the bellwether Canopy Growth, that $19.2 billion, they got $5 billion put in. And Kronos Group got $2.6 billion added to the kitty from an investment by Altria, the guys who make Marlboro. Then arguably Kronos Group, should that not then stipulate a valuation at least half of that of Canopy? And that's what I think you're starting to see happen in Kronos, is that valuation is going to be kind of met. Anyways, losers in the large cap, on the other hand, Hexo took the biggest beating among large cap players, down 3.32%, 23 cents to $6.69, probably based on the fact that that's pretty much getting down near the price that it's announced its $50 million financing at. Organigrams shed 13 cents, or down 2.08% to close at $6.13, and Green Growth Brands lost a penny, a big penny, to close at $5.80. CannTrust lost a penny, but those are the only losers in the large cap space. So if you were to look at the cannabis sector and line it up against the S&P TSX as the bellwether of the broader market, you would see that the cannabis sector is starting to emulate more closely the broader market, which does not bode well considering all of the weaknesses and sort of inflection points that could see the broader market head lower in the near term. You've got the Brexit mess. You've got the China-U.S. trade mess.
A lot of clouds.
Exactly. You've got this never-ending anticipation of what's going to happen to Donald Trump as a result of this Mueller investigation, which at turns sounds like a witch hunt if you were to listen to the people who wear red hats that's put maggot on the front of them, and the ones who don't. So I don't know, lots of weakness.
I got the chart of Great Bear up here quickly.
All right, quick look at the chart, and then we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah, Great Bear was 20 cents a couple years ago. It's now $2.60, and you know, like they're saying they've got similar type initial grades. So something's changed here. There you go.
Yeah.
That's capped at about $100 million.
You bet. Coming up tomorrow, we've got Ken Villazor, CEO of FlowerOne, Adam Swearis from Nutritional High, and charting man Dan is going to be here from the Chart Guys. And so Dan is always a astute. Dan has so much information in his contributions to our show that you really have to pay attention to what he's saying, because he packs it all in.
Well,
he speaks in paragraphs and not in tongues.
Not in tongues.
Not in tongues.
Yeah.
Anyways, don't forget to like us, subscribe to our newsletter, hit the notification button if you want to hear when we're getting ready to go on the air. And otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody.